1. Hello. This is my demonstrative speech for Fundamentals of Speech class. This is my audience. And okay. So today I ended up not having the time to do any of the other speeches I had planned. Like, I put out 5 ideas in the discussion forum, and then this other opportunity came, and I figured this would be a better video. I'm going to show you guys how to make apple cider from scratch in like a zero carbon way, only human power. You start with a variety of apples. It's better to get as many different varieties of apples because the flavors kind of melt together and mellow out. Apple cider is basically apple juice that is unsweetened and unfiltered. So to start, you cut up the apples. I'm using one of these nice apple pie choppers. Kind of cuts them up very quickly, as opposed to a knife, which takes a little bit more effort and time, and you kind of have to watch your fingers a little bit more than something like this. Get all the apples together, cut a whole bunch of apples in as many different varieties. The big ones, the little ones, some of these have red insides. I was given the opportunity to pick apples at my neighbor's orchard. They have about 700 million apple trees. I don't know. A lot of apples. And they're all older varieties, so they have different flavors in themselves. You can also put pears in if you want to do pears. Any kind of fruit juice works, and you make a different kind of cider. I'm doing apples mostly. So at this point, when you fill up your bowl, then I put it into a bucket, put them all in here, and then I'm doing this old-fashioned way and using a 2x4 and a bucket, and I crush the apples this way. There's a lot of different ways you can crush apples. I recently ordered a machine that I would screw into the table here and just hand crank, and it would crush the apples and spit them all out. There's also electric crushers. There's gas-powered crushers. I've heard of people using wood chippers, because that would crush a whole lot of apples at one time, but you'd want to make sure that it was very clean before you did it. Any of the equipment that you're using, you want to make sure is clean before you use it. So after you've crushed your apples, you move it on to the press part of the process. This press comes in pieces, so it has a base that I screwed to the table here. Then you put on this outer shell, and then you have to put in a mesh bag that has a hole in the bottom. Put that in here. Place the mesh bag around the edge of the ring. And then I have a whole bunch of crushed apples right here. We pour them in. Oh. Okay. So the juice is already flowing. You can see how juicy these apples are. Then you add these round wooden pieces. You put them on top of that. And then you start adding these small blocks. Fit them in here. And then this block goes over. And then there's this nice cast iron piece that screws in right here. Twists right on. Kind of makes a beautiful noise. It's like singing. Sure, that's straight. When you're putting these blocks in, you want them to touch the outer edge of the round part, because then they'll stay. And as you press down, as this slowly goes down. It squishes all the apples, and the mesh bag here filters them. They give you a handle, and then it has a ratcheting option. I think you have to take one of these out and get all the way down. It really starts to rush out once you start getting this moving. The apple cider really starts flowing. Once you're down and you're hitting the edge of this, then you go back and you add in more blocks. So I'll come out. Just enough to be able to lift this up a little bit more. And get the blocks underneath there. And then you go back down. That's basically all there is to making the cider itself. If you want to ferment your cider, once you get about 5 gallons, you can fill up a carboy like this, put a rubber stopper and a topper, and put water in here, and this lets air out but does not let air back in. It's called a bubbler. And in a few weeks you will have hard apple cider, and it's a good way to preserve your apple cider for the winter. So I hope you all enjoyed. This is my audience again. Thank you very much.